Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to review our knowledge about external properties in Spring Boot 3 Spring Framework 6. Specifically, the way we get use of properties defined in application.property or application.yaml files. And as usual, there's some notes before we jump into the experiment. By default, Spring Boot will automatically find and load the application.property and application.yaml files from following location. So basically our class path config. So here we will follow the default application.properties and application.yaml under our main resources. So basically main resources application.properties without changing anything like name, Spring config name and location, Spring config location, and so on so far. Okay, we will create our projects from start of Spring.io and just simple like this. So root Gradle, Java, Spring Boot 3.3.0, and I'll name the service is external properties demo, Java 21, and no dependency. So basically we're going to have the only Spring Boot starter here. Implementation is Spring Boot starter, that's it. So take a look at our build Gradle. It's the same, right? So we only have Spring Boot started. That's it. Okay, then what we need to do next? Readme. So in order to get things started, we need to put a property in our application.properties, and we will overlay with these properties in our demo. Okay, then let's copy it. Application.properties. Here's what will we do next. So the first way to interact with external properties is by environment beans. Environment interface is an abstraction that contains properties from variety of sources. So from varieties of sources like properties files, JVM system property, and system environment, and so far and so on. So simply put, environment beans represents loaded properties from real-time environment, and the properties beans contains a list of property sources. So you can see we have a variety of source, right? So it's a property source. And application.properties is one kind of property source. System properties is another kind of property source, and as same as the system environment variables. So each property source represents for one type of properties. So we have here, so we'll see later. So we have property source of our application.properties, and we have the property source name system environment that represents the set of system environment variables, and property source name system properties that represents the set of JVM system properties. So note that the order is also considered here. So the later property source can override the values defined in earlier ones. Here. So in here we can see this is the order. So basically we have the default properties, and we have at the file we have OS environment variables, and so this is JVM system properties, and so basically the later will override the earlier. So for example, if you have the JVM system properties and the OS environment variable had the same name, then the Java system properties will override the OS one. And both of them will override the properties in your application.properties file. We'll prove that later. Okay, back. Okay, so we'll prove this one later. So basically, this is environment variable and this is JVM properties. Okay, so where we can get the environment. So we can get the environment from application context. And let's create our class here, people serve it. And we are going to, so here we can see that we are now autowire our application context because it's our bin, right? So we annotated it with a true type annotation service. Then now we can autowire our application context into our people service bin. And with that context, we can get the environment from context.get environment. And once we have environment, we can get the properties from this environment. Okay, so we have 3 params here: the properties name, the type, the return type that we want our properties should be, and the default value in case we don't found any value for that properties. And we're going to log it here. Okay, then let's check it. Run. So we see that here property value, so it's found our first name, right? So my properties is in the application.properties. Lint is my name, and so we can find it in the environment. Okay, then let's take a look at the environment. Here, let's put the breakpoint here and then debug. So in the environment, we see this, it contains a list of property sources, right? Property sources. So with like a nearly empty Spring Boot applications, then we have the 5 property source. And in here we can find one property source named system properties, right? System properties. So and we have one thing named, let's see, system environment. And one property that's represent for our application.properties file, the last one. So for example, if we take a look at this one, we see there's 2 properties, spring.application.name and myservice.person.firstname. This one, right? So this here. So let's review our documentation or README here. So we see, right? So one environment beans contains a list of properties source. And we have one property source for our application.properties, one property source for our system environment variables, and one property source for our GVM. All right, back. Let's review it again. Yeah, so this one is system properties, right? System property and system environment. So system property usually is a GVM thing, so like Java, a specification version, and something related to the GVM. And for system environment, it's usually environment variables. So basically, we're going to have homebrew prefix or skman or whatever. And okay, let's back to our documentation. Okay, and because of the environment is from the applications, so we can directly autowire the environment instead of have to autowire our application context. And then we now can directly autowire the environment. So basically, autowire the environment, and once we have the environment, we can take the properties from this environment. Okay, the same. Let's run it. Okay, now it's still the same, right? Let's get my name for my properties. Okay, let's back to our README here to prove the orders. So basically, we will have the system environment variables will override our properties in application.properties, right? So then let's set it. So the environment variable that's similar to our my service person first name should look like this, my service. So we remove any hyphen here, and the dot will be replaced by the underscore. Usually is the format. So this is usually the format for environment variable. Then here we going to edit our configuration, and I'm going to add environment variable here. okay, whatever, LinOS environment, like okay. And then now we have two places have the same properties. One is in environment variables and one in our application.properties. Okay, let's run it. So now we see that the property values LinOS environment was printed. So that means that this system environment already override the properties that I set in application.properties. And okay, let's do the same thing for the JVM properties. So basically, I've used another another format for JVM properties. So the camel case, right? Camel case. So this one is canonical case. Everything is lowercase and it's in hyphen. And this is our camel case. And they will understand because there are some concept name relaxed binding in Spring. Okay, but let's we will talk about this in later videos. Okay, in this configuration, and now we would like to have VM option. Okay, and now we have my service.person.first name, and this value of this properties is LinVM properties. Okay, applied. And what we expect that this one will override both of the environment variable and the values in application.properties. Okay, let's do it. And we see that, right? LinVM properties. Okay, so basically, let's follow the order in the documentation here. Okay, that's good. Then let's delete it. So basically, okay, good to know. Apply. Okay, what should we do next? Okay, the second way is you add value. This format is more familiar to us rather than the environment here because we rarely use environment. It needs another step to get the real properties into our variables. So it's quite cumbersome, right? So then we can directly map our properties into our variable by valued. Okay. So value is typically used to inject externalized properties here. So it's the constructor injection. Okay, so we have value with $sign. And with value with $sign, our properties will be resolved by property sources placeholder configured, which is a bin factory post processor in which by default get properties from application.properties and application.yml files. And by using add value with $sign, we can have field injection, shatter injection, and constructor injection. So let's test the field injection. Let's copy this. Okay. Okay, so we have one field, first name, and we're going to inject our properties to this field by first name. And as you can see, because we're using the field injections, so we can use final, right? We can use final because the field injection will be will inject this field after we create our instance of this class. So basically, let's check it. So you see at the moment of the constructors, the properties were null. So after constructor, we create an object of this class, and the field injections is applied after that. Okay, so basically, in order to test this, we need to create one function, and we call it from another when everything is ready. So let's do it. Okay, so we're going to create a bin of application runner that run after our service start. And then we're going to get first name, and let's see. Okay, so now we got it, right? So when an instance of this class created, the property is still known, and after that, injection by a setter or by field is going to apply it, and that's why we have the first name when everything is ready, when our bin is ready. Okay, and that's why it led us to a more safe method. The constructor injection, and it's safer. And by this one, we know when we create an object, everything is ready for us, right? And then we can set the first name. Our first name is final. So basically, we have this one. Then we, instead of using a field injection, we're going using the constructor injection. And by using constructor injection, okay, then basically first name by first name, and we can make it final, so nobody can change it after our instance of this class created. Okay, let's test it. See, in the constructor, we have this value in the constructor, and that's why we also printed in the application runner here. It's good. And so we can have a default value, so as same as the get properties here, where we can provide a default value. Then in add values with $, we can also have the default value by a colon here. Okay, so let's do it. Properties. Then, so default value, whatever you like. So for example, this is my default value, right? Let's type one properties that none is it. Okay, none is it. And because this properties is not from both application.properties here and system environment and GVM properties, so that's why it's not easy, and we're going to use the default value instead. Okay, so we see the relative values here. That's it. Okay, let's go ahead and move to the next one. It's still add value, but this time it's going to come along with the hash. So the hash is followed by a string expression language, and the value will be dynamically computed at runtime. So we can refer to our properties by environment or system environment or system properties. So here we're going to use our environment. So basically, let's light. So now we no longer use the $sign and it's a hash sign, and it's referred to the environment, environment in our first part, right? In the first section, so it's referred to the environment here. And in environment, we are going to get the properties, my service person first name in our application properties. So the logic is quite the same. So we get the properties from environment, and these properties will automatically be chosen from one of the property source here. Here, and so it should be the same. Let's run it. Okay, so the same, right? And because scene is a string expression language, so then we can play with the expression itself. So for example, in here I'm going to instead of return only my name, right? Then I have the hello in front of it. Okay, then I'm going to have hello plus my properties, and it should be stored in my variables. Okay, let's run it again. You see, hello Lin is that only my first name, hello Lin. Okay, that's good. Red meat. And in order to use the default value in case with the hash, so it's a little bit different. So we used a question mark with a colon. Okay. So basically, so I'm typed a non-existent properties here, and if we don't find any value of this property, so it's going to return default value. Okay, then default value. Okay, it's go as expected. Okay, let's back to README. Then we come to the last section, the configuration properties. So using @value annotation to inject configuration properties can sometimes be cumbersome, especially if you're working with multiple properties or your data is hierarchical in nature. Spring Boot provides a type-safe configuration properties by configuration properties. So basically, whatever I can use the configuration properties, I will use configuration properties. Okay, and to prove it, let's extend our application properties a little bit. Here. Properties. So now we have first name, last name, hobbies in a type list, right? So we have two elements in this list. The first element is sleep, and the second element is listen to music. Okay, let's keep it simple like this. And back to. So if we're using value, so it kind of cumbersome, right? So we have to have for @valued and x for one properties. And that's why Spring Boot come up with the configuration properties for us. So we have many properties, we can map all of them into one class or record with configuration properties. And let's see how we do this. So we can see that we have a prefix, same prefix for all of properties, right? So we can have a prefix my servant .person, and then for its properties, will be mapped to value of our class. So for example, we have first name and last name and hobbies in our class. So basically, we will end up with like a configuration with first name, last name, and hobby. Okay, let's going to create it. Okay. So for seamless case, so we're going to use only properties binding in this example. We have property binding and constructor binding. And in order to use properties binding, we're going to declare an empty constructor and getter and setter for each field. Okay, for other thing and compare between properties and constructor, properties binding and constructor binding, we're going to jump into the next videos. Okay, so let's going to create our empty constructor and getter and setter. So by default, with down, explicitly declare any constructor. So we have one constructor by default, but let me explicitly declare here constructor. Okay, so we don't have to do that since there's no order constructor, but yeah, I just want to make it explicit here. Okay, then an order getter and setter for fields, and that's it. Okay, so now we need to enable this people configuration as a bean, right? So basically, if you look at here, so it's pretty good that they also suggest some way to enable our configuration, like we use the enable configuration properties. Okay, and make a Spring as component and scan through configuration properties scan. Wow, actually, it's kind of impressed. They suggest exactly what we're going to do. So basically, okay, before that, let's create our service again. So service. So instead of using a value, then let's create. Now we're going to inject our people configuration. Okay. Then we don't need it anymore. Let me. Okay. The first way is enable configuration properties with our configuration class in any configuration class. Okay, so basically our demo application is also a configuration class, right? Boot configuration, yeah. So we can add it here. So because it's a configuration class. And then we tell Spring that we would like to enable configuration properties for this people configuration. And with that, let's take a look at the. Okay, so everything is good now. There's no warning from IntelliJ. Then we can run it. Okay, and then we have first name, last name, and hobbies. Okay, we enable successfully our people configuration as a bin and inject it to our people service. Okay. Okay, this is the first way, right? Let's delete it. Let's run without it. Okay, so we saw that the people service require a bin of people configuration, but it's not found because we just delete enable configuration properties. Okay, and what is the second way? Okay, the second way is add configuration properties scan in like the same any configuration class in our class path. Okay, and this one will enable all of our configuration properties under location. So basically the same here. I'll add configuration, and you can define location here, right? Yeah, the base bucket. Okay, yeah, they can define it here without explicitly defining anything. So it will scan in this bucket and the external bucket from this place. Okay, that's good for me as well. And so basically with that, I think we save to run it to check again people configuration. Okay, that's good. And this is the last one. So we can add a stereotype annotation like component add right away our configuration, people configuration. And for this way, it's only work for properties binding. So if using constructor binding, it's not gonna work. Okay, then let's try add component. Before that, let's remove the configuration property scan here. And we're going to add. Okay, so now component. And then, okay, let's check again the service, run it. Okay, first name, last name, hobby. Alright, well, that's pretty much just for this video. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you so much for taking your time watching this video and the series. And as always, see you next time. Happy coding!